I call this workshop of the Bryan Independent School District to order. Let the record show the quorum of board members is present and that this workshop has been duly called and that notice of this workshop has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551. At this time, do we have any citizens' comments? No. Okay, thank you. At that point, we will move down to 3 information items. 3A, Advanced Academics Update.
Good afternoon. Christina Richardson, Director of Advanced Academics. Waiting a second to see if my PowerPoint comes up, but I'll go ahead and get started. This is my annual update to all of you of what's been going on in Advanced Academics and what's new that we're working on this year. And we do have a continuum for our services here in Bryan ISD. And so we started elementary with pull-out services as well as cluster classrooms in K4. We have our academies, Explore, Inquire, and Odyssey, as well as dual language that go through the 6th grade. Honors pre-AP start in 5th and 6th as well. And once students hit high school, we continue on with pre-AP, pre-IB, honors, IB, AP, and dual credit. So students have a lot of choices of how they want to earn their advanced academics and how they want to prepare for college. So the first thing that we have worked on new this year is our pull-out program. And one of the things that we are adding actually in January is first LEGO League for our 3rd and 4th grade students. And so this is not going to be the competitive version of first LEGO League. This is an in-class version. And so the instructional coaches who do the pull-out will go to each campus. They will do the challenge as though it's the same rules as competition, but we're not going to travel and do competition yet. And so students are going to get the experience of doing the engineering design process as well as the building and innovation and coding process. And that experience will also continue up into 5th and 6th grade after school. Our goal is not just to have it for our GT students though in our pull-out program, but hopefully we're going to be able to expand it to after school when more students can participate. And another thing that's really been a difference maker for us this year is using the MAP assessment in our identification process. Trying to identify all students has always been a struggle. Students don't always respond to this test or that test. You have to use a combination of things. And MAP has really added some important information. And using that, we were able to identify some students that parents and teachers did not refer for GT identification. And so it really helped in that process of getting some students who have not been referred before. Explore Academy, as you know, has a new principal, and she attended the Taggett Texas Association of Gifted and Talented Conference with me last week. She is really digging in and investigating and looking at all aspects of it, and I'm really excited to have her as a partner this year. We are looking at the curriculum, we are looking at the different activities, and one thing that Ms. Legg has already implemented this year is that she started student-led conferences. And so instead of on that October day when they do parent-teacher conferences, the students actually presented to their parent, here are the things that I've been working on and here's how I've been progressing. And so the parents really enjoyed that experience. And then the other thing I got to witness, it was just a coincidence, I was walking through on that day, where the Explore students were actually using their MAP data to set their own goals. And so you heard these students talking about they wanted to increase their performance on such and such. And so they were actually talking about the standards that they wanted to improve. They were developing rubrics. It was really impressive to hear these students talking about the standards that they wanted to set their own goals for. For Inquire and Odyssey, I think both programs, the thing that they're most excited about is being able to get guest speakers back into their classrooms. Most recently, Dr. Sullivan went to Davila for the Inquirer students and was able to talk to them about leadership and communication in healthcare and how important that is and how important your words are when you're trying to lead a community in health services like he's been doing over the past few years. Inquirer also started this year a student leadership class that students will receive high school credit for. They're using a lot of stuff from the Model UN, and the teacher was trained this summer, and she's done a great job developing curriculum and lessons that really give students the opportunity to think about problems across the world and different aspects. When I was observing her a few weeks ago, she had students representing different countries, and they were talking about a particular problem, and they had to address that problem from their country's point of view. And so it's really giving students this experience of, not just looking at the United States and what our issues are, but looking around the world and how our issues are similar or different from others. Our Odyssey Academy is going to be in the process of renewing their STEM certification. They have been a National Institute of STEM Education certified campus, both Rayburn and SFA, for the past 3 years, and every 3 years you have to recertify. And so they will be beginning that process now. It is a portfolio-based process where they provide documents showing where have they improved since the last time, what are their new goals, what are they working towards. And so both teams are gearing up for that process, and they'll probably start in January. Rayburn has also started a STEM club after school this year that's really taking off. And both Jane Long and Rayburn will also have First Lego League, the Challenge Robotics. It will be after school for them, and it will be open to all students, not just Inquirer and Odyssey students.
Are we providing transportation for that?
Not to my knowledge. Our advanced placement classes are moving along, and we now have 27 different AP courses offered in Bryan ISD. We have over 1,800 enrollments in AP this year. And one of the things that I am most proud of our campuses is how hard they went after AP exam registrations this year. With the pandemic the last few years, it's been tough, getting kids in all these different testing methods and all the different rules College Board had, so we're kind of back to normal and getting kids to register. They did a lot of effort, and I'm very proud of them, and our registrations are back to pre-pandemic levels of students who are going to take the AP exam in spring. And then this past May, we had our first AP capstone diploma students and certificate students. And both of those courses, the AP Research and AP Seminar, are continuing to grow in their enrollment. And the same as all advanced academic programs, they are also going to be recruiting starting in January for students. AP Capstone is not an application process. Students just have to register. But we are still going to work at getting that information out to our families because it's still a new program and parents understanding what it is and how it benefits their students. The students who got their diploma and certificate, they completed a research project and a portfolio that went along with it that was 4,000 to 5,000 words, and it also included an oral defense of that project. And so it's similar to completing a thesis in high school. And it took a lot of research, a lot of time. Students also had a mentor from either the community or A&M to kind of be somebody just to bounce ideas off of, to get feedback. And so it is an in-depth process, and the students are working hard to complete it. Then Bryan Collegiate High School is doing well as always. They've earned several awards that they've won in the past. They've won again in these current years. Their 2021 class had 97 graduates, and 78 of them were first-generation college-going students. Our International Baccalaureate program had 28 out of 37 students earn their IB diploma. So both programs are progressing strong, and they are continuously improving. For IB, they also had 12 subject exams that had 100% pass rates at Bryan High. And something new we did to celebrate all these achievements, we had AP students getting their 3s and earning college credit that way. We had a new award from College Board that it's AP Scholars, and you were an AP Hispanic Scholar, AP African American Scholar. We also had students who are earning dual credit. And so what we did this year is give those students a yard sign to recognize their academic achievement. And so there's a few pictures there of students getting their signs at parent nights. And they are able to put those hopefully proudly in front of their house. You know, we always are so good about recognizing, you know, athletics and band and choir and all these other things. And so we really wanted students to be proud of their academic achievements as well. One of the things that we are doing in January, and this was responsive to a request that we've had from some of our parents, is a dual credit transfer information night. And we are partnering with Texas A&M Office of Admissions. And it's going to be, you know, obviously they're going to speak mostly from their perspective. That's not the rule for every college, but they're going to give parents the idea of here's the questions you need to be sure that you're asking. Here's the information you need to be sure that you're looking up so that students are getting the most out of their transfer of their dual credits to whichever school they choose to attend. And then in development right now, I'm working on a Scholars Academy to increase our National Merit Scholars. Looking at not just a summer program as we've had in the past pre-pandemic, but looking at more of a vertically aligned activity, whether it be during a class period or after school activity. I've got a group meeting on Wednesday this week to kind of finalize some plans, but it needs to be a vertical alignment that students are starting in elementary school, building those vocabulary skills, building those math skills, because those are things that they can't get in 2 weeks in the summer before they do it. And so it's got to be constant along the way. And the 2 weeks is great for the strategies of taking the test and some follow-up things, but that content's got to be building all the way along starting from 4th grade up. The other thing that we're looking at is TSIA 2 boot camp, looking at possibly doing some during the school year, but also in the summer. TSIA 2 started last January, and the format, they've combined the ELA and the reading together. In previous testing, they were separated, they were separate scores. And our students seem to be having a struggle passing that based off of how this new format is. And so as we're trying to figure out, is it the format of the test, is it the content of the test, we're creating boot camps trying to help them be successful on those, on that test. And then also working on summer power camps at various grade levels, mostly our middle school and high school students, specifically looking at hopefully some SAT and ACT camps that are open to all. And that is it. Any questions?
Well, I know we've got a lot to cover, and we've got some members that have to leave before too terribly long, but I did want to make a quick comment and ask a quick question, hopefully. One of the quick comment is that I'm thrilled that we are doing everything we're doing, because if we really, truly believe we're going to educate every child, well, we all know that we desperately got to help all the kids that are struggling, but we also absolutely can't just let the kids that are very motivated and are successful to just be coasting along and not really being challenged. So thank you for all of this. My question has to do with Explorer Academy. I don't know that I know as much as I should know about it, but it's all Ross, correct?
Yes, sir.
And it's pretty limited capacity. What is the...
Yes, right now there's one classroom per grade level. They're self-contained classrooms. The class size is 15 to 20.
So this is, from what I understand, the most comprehensive, I guess, gifted and talented program for K through 4, is that right?
Yep. For Explorer Academy, students are selected as being the highest gifted in our district. And so it is students who are, 95th percentile, 90, like as highly gifted, and really need more in all areas. They really need that enrichment. They really need that compacted curriculum. They are ready to accelerate.
Well, the only thing, again, I'm going to keep it short, is that it sounds like, especially compared to our higher level advanced programs, that we could probably use some more capacity and maybe increase the number of kids that could participate. Now, that's just my personal opinion. I don't know how much y'all have looked at that, how much it's a matter of space and money and all of that, but I would love to hear more about that and whether we really do have the capacity that we feel like, it's adequate, or if not, look at what's holding us back, and you're probably going to get I would say some support from at least some board members, including me, if it looks like that needs to be expanded in some way. So I just, that's all I wanted to say, is that from what I knew about it, I knew it was pretty limited, and I didn't think that had changed. So I really want an opportunity for all kids, even at the early ages, to be able to reach their levels.
Yeah. And that is definitely something that we've been looking at, is what would it look like to expand those services. And Ms. Legg is, like I said, she is digging into it, and she is really excited and wants to make more opportunity available.
That'd be great, because not everybody, as was mentioned earlier, especially if you don't have transportation, can go after school to do what we're doing after school. So this is a program that is, obviously during the school day. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
So my one comment would be about the dual credit transfer information night with collegiate. I know I've spoken to Dr. Ibarra about it, and I haven't spoken here, but Dr. Whitbeck and I had talked a lot about the negative impacts of transferring excessive credits into college, where it takes all your electives and doesn't allow you to change your major once you admit, or doesn't allow you to be a full-time student because you don't have the right prerequisites. And so I'm wondering if waiting until they are seniors and already have 48 to 60 credit hours is the time to start those conversations.
This night is open to any grade level and any student in Bryan ISD. It's not just for seniors.
So I guess what I'm wanting is to ensure that when we are putting the kids over in collegiate, that when they're starting in 9th grade, that we are helping them understand that they are not, once they transfer in, they cannot change their degree path, they will have 0 electives, and they may not be considered full-time students when they get to college.
That's why we recommend, and that's why our agreement with both A&M and Blinn in our MOU states that we work on that core 42 because of that issue. And so we don't recommend that students go 65, like those overboard of credits because of that issue. And I know that the counselors there work together with Blinn counselors, with A&M admissions office, on looking at what are the courses that students need to take. And so they are always changing things. They are always trying to improve their system. But they do have 9th grade parent night, 10th grade parent night, where they are constantly adding more information and helping clarify things for parents.
And I would just add, and you alluded to it, and I know it from the A&M side, when I was in the office of the provost, it's that particular issue is not just a K through 12 issue. It's an issue that we need to push up and make sure colleges, wherever our students are going, understand that these early collegiate high schools aren't going away. They need to modify some of their processes and procedures as well. And I know at A&M under Tim Scott, that was one of his major, that was very much in his line of sight under student success was the recognition that there were 18-year-olds coming in, stepping foot on A&M campus for the first time with enough credits to be juniors, and that didn't always line up. And so so I know that's a big issue. The only other thing is I know Dr. Harlan, I don't think she's given the presentation recently, but I know Dr. Harlan often speaks on this at TASB and Dr. Warnerberger before her.
Right.
Speaks on these issues at TASB, and so they're always a resource as well.
And we actually met, Dr. Harlan and I met with Dr. Scott earlier in the summer. And so that was where my idea to do the transfer night came out of. And Dr. Scott talked about some rules that are specific, they're specific to A&M. So we have no way of being aware of those, and so that's some of what they're going to share. But also how to find out what are those rules for the university that you're going to be attending if it's not A&M.
So you say it's open to all the students?
I'm sorry?
It's open to all students?
Yes, ma'am. And so it will be advertised to Bryan High or Rudder High students who are also taking dual credit so that they can get the same information.
Okay, because a lot of times that's what a lot of parents have issues with. They don't know that it's open to everyone. They think it's only open to a select group. And then by the time we send the information out, we don't send it to everywhere. So everybody, we don't use all our avenues of advertisement so that all of the parents will know that any child can attend this. It's not just for a certain group of children, it's for everybody.
Yeah.
So I think we need to make sure that we let them know that it's for all students.
Yeah, and I'll definitely work with the Department of Communications to make sure that it gets out to all of our families and that it's clearly stated it is for all students, not just Bryan Collegiate students.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And next up, we have the 22-23 calendar development update.
Good afternoon. I am Shannon McGehee, and I am the Director of Student Services. This is my first year in this position. I have worked very closely with Ms. Carabine over the last 4 years on the calendar committees, and this year she asked if I would facilitate the process of the calendar committee, to which I felt very comfortable in and honored by her confidence in me to do that. And I can assure you that the process is no different from what Ms. Carabine has done in the past, because her process is seamless. So it was actually like taking on something that already had a good flow, and we hit the ground running. This year, we took into, it's a comprehensive development committee. It's comprised of teachers, parents, administrators, students, and we try and take information in from every stakeholder. And there was feedback and more feedback and feedback throughout this process. Our key considerations were still the continuation of the pandemic and how that would affect our instructional calendar. Also, the compliance with the minimum number of minutes at 75,600, and the non-negotiables issued by the state. Next, I'm going to kind of take you through the timeline of things that we did to develop the draft calendars this year. At the end of September, we began with a subcommittee meeting regarding what all the feedback has been, discussing the professional development survey that was received from Ms. Brunson, from all staff regarding professional development, and kind of the time frame of professional development for this school year. We gathered feedback from our district leadership team, which encompasses all of our district administrators, campus principals. We notified who had been selected for the calendar committee. Selection was based on, I talked to principals about who they felt could have a lens that suited their grade level or their school level, but also have the capability to widen that to what affects an entire district. So we had a really strong committee this year. Our first calendar development committee was on October 13th. This year, we started with giving them multiple drafts of what if, without any of the feedback that had been given. They were then told the non-negotiables as well as the strong feedback that we've been given, and asked to try and narrow down multiple drafts, 2, 3, that they could work within to try and get 3 solid drafts, then narrowed to 2. I spoke with the DEIC to gather their feedback. I updated Cabinet about mid-October about where we were. On October 27th, the calendar committee put their nose to the grindstone and really took all feedback in and with the drafts and formulated 2 draft calendars to present. On November 3rd, there was another subgroup committee meeting in which we kind of refined and made sure we were all counting correctly. Doesn't matter how many times you look at a calendar and how many times you count. Somebody always finds something. Again, on November 11th, we updated DEIC again. And then this is truly meant to be an instructional calendar, so we did something a little bit different this year. I was asked to come speak at the Teaching and Learning KIP for Board Goal 1, just to kind of summarize what we were doing and what the thought process was to see if we were meeting the goals of what the instructional calendar should be. We got even more additional feedback at that meeting, in which we called another subcommittee meeting just to discuss the feedback that was given. And ultimately, they decided on the 2 draft calendars that were put out for survey on November 19th through the 30th. And the final calendar committee reviewed the results of the survey and asked me to speak for them at today's meeting to summarize briefly the 2 different draft calendars, as well as the proposed calendar for next school year. In the next 2 slides, there are calendars draft A and calendar draft B, but instead of going line by line, I'm going to go to the calendar comparisons just to break it down for you. In draft calendar A, the beginning of the year started for TE days on the 4th and the 5th, and all staff would report back on the 8th. And the school start day would be for all students on the 17th. Calendar B had the 3rd and the 4th as TE days, and all staff reporting back on the 5th, moving the school start day until the 16th. One other feedback point within this that was discussed at length is adding and making sure that we had plenty of time for professional development at the beginning of the year. That was an overwhelming outcry from all campuses and all teachers. And another one was that at the beginning of the year, there are multiple meetings that have to be held, whether they're through special education, whether the new one's coming through House Bill 4545, anything like that. And we always it's coming directly off of campus. I can tell you those tend to fall on what's supposed to be the teacher's workday, because there just aren't enough hours in the day. So one of the feedback caveats was, can we have a protected day that is for parent conferences, special ed meetings, House Bill 4545, any of those, could we have protection for that day? And doesn't mean that will be the only day, but it does truly will protect their work day. And we were able to implement that in both calendars. The month of September is the same. The month of October is the same. And I'd like to draw your attention to October 31st. Another thing that campuses have always asked for is October seems to be the longest month for everybody. Could they please have a break? And the calendar committee developed both drafts with a break in October. Some of the calendar committee was very thrilled, thinking that, hey, it just so happens it falls on Halloween this year. It's not going to fall on Halloween every year if we continue that, but it is on October 31st. November, there is a slight difference between the 2 calendar drafts. One calendar proposed no early release days before Thanksgiving and before spring break. The other draft did propose early release. Calendar B does have the early release before the Thanksgiving break. December is the same.
Can we go back to the comparison slide?
Yes.
Thanks.
December is the same. January, the difference is here. It's the same shift as it was in August because of the start date. In January, we were thinking to have still a holiday for students on the 2nd, but it would be the time equivalency day for staff. And then all staff would report for staff development on the 3rd, and school would start on the 4th. Calendar B had a holiday for everybody, time equivalence on the 2nd, time equivalency day on the 3rd, staff development on the 4th, and students starting on the 5th. Moving into February, we were looking at possibly trying to, in calendar A, have February 20th, President's Day, off as a holiday, followed by a work day on the 21st. In calendar B, it is just a President's Day holiday with no work day following it. March is the same, again, except for the early release that is happening on the Friday before. That moves us into April. April was very hard for the calendar committee due to the state testing calendar for English 1 and 2 Eocs. Currently, this is not noted in the presentation, the Eocs are to be given for English 1 on the 6th and English 2, I believe, on the 8th, which is the day before, the Thursday before Good Friday. I don't think the state looked at when Good Friday was because that doesn't allow a makeup day. So there's been lots of talk and questions to TEA, and they are considering possibly a testing window for those tests. But that led us to making the decision that there would be, sorry, I lost my place. There would be a Good Friday holiday, and the April 10th would be a staff development day, and it then shifts the beginning of the 6 weeks to where on, I'm sorry, I did B first. A has the holiday, but no staff development day. And May is the same. I know that is a lot of information. Okay, are there any questions about that before we go on? Okay, overwhelmingly in the survey results, calendar B from all stakeholder groups was the most voted for. Students, 72% of them preferred calendar B. Parents, 62%. Employees, 73%. And community members at 62%. There were a total of 2,652 votes cast. And our next steps would be to propose this at the next board meeting as calendar B be the instructional calendar for the 22-23 school year. Any questions?
I was blessed enough to be on the KPI or KIP review committee, and so I got a lot of my questions answered there. And I've never led this committee, but I've been on it, and thank you so much for all you're doing and have done, because I said that day next to master schedule, this is probably one of the hardest things to put together, and you're doing such a good job, and really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I guess, is the popular one the one with the early release dates?
Yes, sir.
That's not a shock, so I kind of expected that. I've always been a little wary of them. I've wondered, are we really getting anything done those days, especially at the secondary level? That's my only concern, and I don't know that the survey accurately reflects the belief that we really want to learn, so we want to do whatever makes sure that we learn the most. I'm not sure that that's reflected very well in the survey results. So I guess I would like to have some reassurance, not that it's going to make any difference with those kind of numbers, that early release days are not just, I don't know, kind of pointless, fun and games. Is there a real commitment to learning on those days despite the short days? So
I can speak directly to the campus that I came from Davila, yes, it was, and it was to the point of, you know, it was very much remedial instruction, sometimes the small group instruction that was still needed. Also, an intent for our kids to understand that every day was an instructional day. Different campuses use it for different things. It could be to catch up on work that is needed to be done and reteach right then before a holiday break, because a lot of those come close to the end of a 6 weeks. And even though we'd love our students to be motivated every day, the end of the 6 weeks tends to motivate our students quite a bit due to eligibility and different things.
And I brought that up, David, because I knew that was going to be.
She did.
That was good. That was your pet peeve. And when they brought it up, I said, well, Mr. Stadney had on now.
What did you ask? Did you also ask about whether we were trying to make sure as best we can that kids are not going to be getting home and nobody's home?
We did. We brought that up, and we thought of looking into some ideas of what to do, working with the after-school program on those days. And they were willing to let the kids come,
Yes.
and they were going to make adjustments. We're also going to get with the Boys and Girls Club and the different groups in town, because that was one of the things that was discussed, because I had that concern also about the kids. But they looked at all the avenues on that, and a lot of what she said, I asked different people from different campuses, what do they actually do? Is it just a come and go mess off day? But really, most of them said that the majority, they don't have anything set that they'll have working on. The kids will kind of just go and they'll make up where they're lacking at. If some students need help in math, then they kind of take them back to, that's their math day. But it's not a lot of brand new learning, because it's only a short time. It's a lot of makeup, or a lot of try to catch you up or get you ahead. So a lot of them are using it for days like that, to try to get the students to where they need to be, building them up where they're weak in those different areas. If they need remedial tests, they say that's the day that they would pick for them to do the test. So I asked all those questions because I remember.
Thank you for being my
So
proxy.
I felt confident. I felt confident when, because that was my concern, getting out early as you, and then what do we do with the child care because of the elementary kids or whatever.
Of course, the childcare doesn't really address the bus riders, but, because the buses are gonna go early, right? So, but I don't, that's another issue, I guess. But hopefully by the time a lot of them get home pretty late anyway, so on a normal day, so maybe it's not a big issue. But that's another thing to at least consider is just how many kids are affected possibly negatively if they ride the buses, and there's not any extra, daycare for them. Obviously, they just get home early, so. But thank you for asking those questions, and I think it's so popular that I can understand that it's probably gonna happen. I just, I wanna make sure that we don't have a significant number of kids that are just sort of like, well, because the majority's so excited about this, they get sort of forgotten. And it sounds like y'all tried to address that, so.
Are there any other questions?
I just have a comment. I certainly appreciate the fact that, excuse me, for the past few years, we've been the driving district on completing the calendar, getting the calendar out, getting it set. Because we certainly are very interconnected with various other, not only K through 12, but with the university as well. So I thank you, and thank you for taking the lead on that. And I'm just looking forward. This is coming back before us on next Monday, on Monday's night, along with the Bryan Collegiate's calendar, which we're not going to see today, I don't think. That normally comes there. Since I assume that we're probably going to have the same discussion, is it possible, would y'all feel comfortable moving this to the consent agenda?
Yes.
All right. Any other questions after that comment? All right, thank you. All right, next up is considering approval of the guaranteed maximum price. Sorry, we're in business services now. The guaranteed maximum price for the Rudder additions project, GMP.
Thank you. So I have Douglas Caney with Corgan and Josh Glaze with Core Construction. Corgan is the architect of record for this project, and Core Construction was is the construction manager at risk that was selected quite a few months ago on this project. So the classroom addition project at Rudder was deemed a priority project through the 2020 Bond Steering Committee. And like I just mentioned, Corgan and Core were selected through that process that we had this past spring. And then on October 21st, Core opened the subcontractor bids for the GMP, which is the guaranteed maximum price, since this is a construction manager at risk project. And through that, after the vetting and going through all these different subcontractor bids to verify scope of work and costs analysis and value engineering items where appropriate, we came to a GMP of $8,400,548. And this project includes 14 classroom addition. It includes parking lot additions for the band parking lot, a CTEC parking lot. It includes lighting along the back drive between the main building and the field house, and as well as a multitude of facility assessment items that were included in the bond for Rudder High School. We went ahead and just kind of took all of Rudder at one time to do it all. And it also includes the press box, which that is not paid through the 2020 bond. That is through previous bond funds, with mainly coming out of the 2005 bond that was earmarked for athletics projects.
So the total amount is coming out of bonds, it's just coming out of two different bonds?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And then this project has a substantial completion date of December of 2022. So we're hoping that we can stay on that date and have the students back in the building in January of 23. And then that summer, the summer of 23 would be the intentions of relocating off or moving off the campus 7 of the 10 portables that are there. 3 portables will remain because those are the CTEC portables for barbering and cosmetology. But the 7 classroom ones would be removed at that time. And of course, this is the bulk of it, like you just mentioned, Ms. Duane, is funded through the 2020 bond, and then the press box portion will be through mainly the 2005 bond, and then proceeds from the 2014 bond, what we had left over from it. So y'all have any questions about the GMP or the project or anything?
I move approval of the guaranteed maximum price, GMP, for the Rudder addition project for the proposed amount of $8,400,548 as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Waller and a second by Ms. Benford. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries as moved.
And one bit of elaboration and a bit of celebration is we do plan to do a groundbreaking for the Rudder Edition project.
So more hats, more hats.
More hats, more shovels, more fanfare, but this is a big project and a lot of excitement for Rudder High School and that community. So stay tuned for the date. We will invite the media and all the others who normally attend, because
I
this
wear a
is,
medium hat.
Medium hat. Got it.
you can work on your shovels and your construction hats for us, but we're super excited about this project and we appreciate your support.
We appreciate you guys coming in.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next up is consider approval of the group benefits risk pool medical stop loss insurance carrier for the plan year 2022.
Yes, good afternoon, thank you. This is our stop loss policy, which takes effect in our group health benefits plan when a claim goes over a certain amount to limit the district's exposure in those cases. The current plan or coverage runs through December. So this will be for January of 2022 through December of 2022. And the current plan is with Evolution Risk. And approximate premium on that is $1,152,000. When we went out for RFP for this proposals, we got 16 responses. 3 actually put in bids. The other ones either declined or did not respond. The current carrier's premium came back at $1,644,000. Quite a substantial increase, and that was not really unexpected since we had claims. We had 7 claims that went over the stop-loss limit in the prior year. The current recommendation would be to go to Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I think you have the options there. It's option 3 in the ones that you have. And that would be the same deductible limit of $325,000, and for an estimated annual premium of $1,118,000, which would actually be a small decrease from the prior year. This would also put us back with Blue Cross Blue Shield, who is our current carrier for our group benefits plan, which will speed up, make the claims process and faster claims on that, and also save administrative costs, roughly about $10,000 per year, because they're handling all of it. They don't have to gather information from one company, get it to another company, and pay it. So it would be all with one company. There's a couple other options there that are with lower, with higher deductibles, moving to $350 or something along those lines, or changing the length of the payout. We declined to move to those, or our recommendation is not to move to those due to hitting the number of claims that we've had over that limit in the last 2 years. Also with the unknowns out there right now with COVID lingering. So our recommendation would be the Blue Cross Blue Shield at the same limits with a slightly less premium than prior year.
I move approval of the Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas as the medical stop-loss insurance carrier for the plan year 2022 with a deductible of $325,000 and a premium of $1,118,926 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Dwayne and a second by Ms. Waller. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries as moved.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you. The board will now convene in closed session to discuss the following items as allowed by Texas Government Code Chapter 551.074 and 551.072. No voting will take place in the closed meeting. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of discussion in closed session will take place after the board reconvenes in the open meeting. It is now 12:50. Board reconvened in open session at 1:29. No action was taken in closed session. And we have one motion to take up.
I move approval of the appointment of Mark McCall as president, Dr. Julie Harlan as vice president, and Felicia Benford as secretary for the Bryan ISD Board officers for 2022.
Second?
I have a motion by Ms. Dwayne, a second by Ms. Waller. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries as moved. And if there's no further discussion, we are adjourned.